What is up, everybody? It is March 12th, and it's a Tuesday, and I'm filming Worm Wednesday. So I've got some other stuff going on. I've already fed and taken care of the vermi bags. I told you guys I was going to show you my bait worm grow out bin, and I'm going to do that. But I'm going to show you guys some other experiments that I started this week. So yeah, this is going to be an expansion again. All right. Here it is, my European Nightcrawler grow out bin that I've got set up. It's a little bit dry. I can already see that, so I'm going to be wetting it down today. If you look, if you remember how little these worms were when I put them in here, it has been, I think 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks since you've seen them. They're getting some size on them. That one's already matured and has a little bit of clitellum. I'm thinking that a lot of these turned out to be reds, which I didn't know I had reds. Maybe little Euros still, I don't know. We'll see what you guys think. What I've been doing is I've been top feeding this bin every day and flipping it about every 4th day. Just aerating it all the way through. So my doing that is causing a lot of my moisture to dry out. But I've got a sprayer, so it's not that big of a deal. That one is definitely a Euro. So is that one. I mean, these worms are fattening up and getting big on me. That's okay, because they've got a date with a catfish soon. I hope they keep getting big. I mean, there's some definite Euros in here, and these were probably the biggest worms when I started checking these guys out a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna give them 2 more weeks and then see what the final size is on them before I decide how I'm gonna proceed with this. This was started with a whole lot of peat and just little bitty shreds of cardboard that I took out of that vermi bag. Yeah, there's some good sized worms in here. They're bigger than they were when I put them in here. We'll leave it at that. But we'll see how many of them get bait size. Probably in the next month. I may let them sit for another month and just see what they do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna water this down, and I've been feeding a mixture of ground up oats that had gone bad that I grounded through a spice grinder, and a little bit of cornmeal that had beetles in it, and some ground up eggshells. So it's a real fine powdery substance, and I don't feed any more than what they can eat in a day, because honestly it takes me about 32 seconds to feed them, so it's not a big deal. But I just did a quick count, and I am up to 32 worm systems here. This is a little ridiculous. This is one I started last night, and I decided to start keeping notes on stuff. So I started this one last night with red wigglers. It's got peat and leaves. I'm gonna mix it 2 times a week, and I'm gonna check it out on April 15th and see if there's enough worms in it to split into 2 bins. So when I say a mixture of peat and leaves, I mean a mixture of peat and leaves. Not much peat, but a whole lot of leaves. Little red wigglers are in here. One of my buddies cleared out his leaves and put them in trash bags for me, so I didn't have anything to do with them. So I decided that I would make use of them for worms. Why not? So there they are, guys. This is another little experiment I'm gonna run for a while. I just got red wigglers, so I am still learning about them and trying to grow a population. And I figured that this was, I mean, a good use for the leaves and a good use for the red wigglers. I may end up feeding these guys a little bit, but I want them to process these leaves down mostly. Perhaps I should have used Euros for this, since they seem to really like the cardboard or the carbon sources. Maybe I'll do a side-by-side on that. Euros versus reds in leaves and peat and see how it goes. But that's the video for this week. I showed you those bait bins. I showed you this new one I set up last night and my handy note-taking system. I don't know if you guys remember. Oh yeah, Grant, socks and flip-flops, brother. I don't know if you remember my bucket experiment that I did with 25 red wigglers in a 1-gallon bucket. I also set up 3 5-gallon bins last night with 25 red wigglers in one, 25 euros in one, and 25 Africans in one. And if you remember, after about 6 weeks, my worms started getting skinny. So I'm going to see what happens in a larger tub after 6 weeks. See if they reproduce. They reproduce great in that little white bucket. They just got to be little skinny worms, which they did grow back out to full size. I don't know if I've showed you those or not, but they grew back out to full size when I moved and put them in a bigger bed. So I want to see which one of these 3 breeds really, species, not breeds, really thrives in that little bitty environment with just leaves, peat, and a big old slice of pumpkin in each one of them. It's basically the same thing I did on the 5-gallon buckets with just a bigger scale. There's the Vermibag Mammoth running. There is my Vermibag Mini, first one running. And there's the Vermibag Max running, or excuse me, another Vermibag Mini. That's my African Nightcrawlers one running. So as you guys can see, you can do a lot of worms in a small space. And I am still organizing this to make it easier to get around everything. Give me just a second. So yeah, that's Worm Wednesday. You guys have a good night.